watching LauraGyoga. This is our 4th week of talking about the yoga yamas, and this week we're talking about Brahmacharya. And Brahmacharya is a really interesting yoga yama because it has a few different translations or ways of kind of interpreting this. And the most common one, and the one that I heard originally, was celibacy. And I think a lot of people hear, okay, you want me to follow this practice of celibacy. And in the modern world, that's really not something that people jump at. So I think that kind of steered people away from studying Brahmacharya or practicing Brahmacharya originally. But I think more and more there's an acceptance of some other ways of translating Brahmacharya or ways of practicing Brahmacharya. But just for a moment, sticking with this concept of celibacy. So a lot of times when we're on a more spiritual path, practicing celibacy is a way to draw our energy inward and focus on ourselves and focus on our own growth rather than being focused externally and making sure that we look good or making sure that we have a nice outfit on. All those things that we do when we're worried about impressing somebody or getting somebody else's attention. When you're practicing celibacy, it gives you some space and some time to let go of that external focus and concentrate more of your energy inwardly. And that allows a greater spiritual growth. A few years ago, I stayed at the Yogaville ashram in Virginia. And during the time there, they give you an outline of things that they want you to follow. And celibacy was one of the things that they did ask us to practice while we were there because they wanted us to focus on our spiritual growth rather than trying to create outward connections. And I think that's really important because spending a month at the ashram and not wearing any makeup and wearing clothes that were very baggy and flowy and not worrying so much about my outward appearance or anything like that was really an interesting process, and it does change your mindset. It gives you a lot more energy to work on your thought process, to work on your asana practice, all the things that you want to direct your energy toward during a period of really strong growth like that. So even if celibacy is not something that you want to take as a lifelong practice, which a lot of people don't, practicing celibacy for short periods during your life can be really helpful. One example of that might be if you're in a relationship for a while and then that relationship ends, it might be a good idea to give yourself some time and some space for healing and for self-growth. Celibacy would be a great thing to practice during that period after a relationship ends. In terms of being in a relationship, though, restraint is the word that comes to mind here because we want to have restraint in terms of our sexual practices. We don't want to go outside of the relationship. When you're in a committed relationship, you need to have that trust and that commitment. You need to have that personal restraint of only putting that energy toward the person that you're in that relationship with. So avoiding things like infidelity is really important. So celibacy and restraint in terms of our sexual practices. But moving on to the next version of Brahmacharya, when you break down the word, the first part of the word means essential truth, and the second part means to walk with, and then the third part means actively. So to actively walk with the essential truth. And usually essential truth is associated with your higher power. The essential truth is God or the divine, whatever you connect that to. And this practice of Brahmacharya is directing your energy toward unity with that being or with the divine. And if you think back to the practice of celibacy, when you're really deep into your spiritual practice and you're not directing that outward sexual energy, you have a lot more time to work on your connection to your higher power, to create a greater sense of unity with your higher power. So that kind of ties in. And then the third part over here is conservation of your energy. When we're practicing Brahmacharya, we're looking at different aspects of our life and seeing where our energy is being put. And it's not just your physical energy or in terms of celibacy, your sexual energy, it's your mental energy, it's your emotional energy. Where are those things being pulled, or where are you directing that energy toward? And you want to try to look at your life and see if there are certain things that are pulling your energy that you don't want to be dedicating energy to. And in this concept, we talk about conservation of energy, being able to control our own energy field and our physical energy so that we can decide what we want to put our energy to and where we feel like it's needed. When we start to do our practice and we're going through our hatha practice for yoga, we're going to work on capping our energy fields. And this is a big thing that we use our bandhas for. Bandhas are energy locks, and they help us to prevent leakage of energy or just letting your energy go without control. So it's a really good thing to start to practice, especially the root lock, working on Mula Bandha. But in terms of this practice, I really focused on it more from a chakra perspective. So we have the two end caps, the bottom one being the first chakra and the top one being the crown chakra, so root and crown, and those two create a cap on our central energy channel where all of the chakras are lined up along that central avenue, and it's the same line that physically our energy follows through the messages that are sent out through the spine and out through the nerves. So they both follow that same channel, whether you're talking about the physical aspect of the body or the subtle energy aspect of the body. But working on those two areas are going to help you to contain your energy and control it. And then once you have control over it, you can decide where your energy goes rather than having it pulled away from you without your control. Now, the other concept that's important when we talk about Brahmacharya is the body being your temple. The body being something that is housing a piece of the divine. And as such, we want to treat it with a huge amount of respect and care. Doing your hatha practice is your way of keeping your physical body healthy, and also to create health in your mind, of clearing out harmful or stagnant thought patterns, letting go of emotions that are weighing you down, letting things flow really smoothly so that you don't get stuck anywhere. But holding on to that idea of the body being a temple. And I think that draws us back to this idea of celibacy. If you are going around freely giving yourself to anyone rather than being really discriminatory in who you allow to experience that sort of thing with your physical body, then you're really just sort of taking away the value of that experience and the sacredness of that experience. So you want to very much connect to that idea of your body as a temple and as a sacred space, and being very connected to this idea of restraint as to what you do with it, being very selective. So then that brings us down to the section about moderation. So moderation in the use of your energy, the moderation of your physical energy, making sure that you're not working so hard that you're depleting your energy and burning yourself out, because then you're not going to be of use when you're either needed or you want to give your energy to something else. Same thing with mental energy, making sure that you're not doing things that are mentally burning you out or emotionally burning you out, because when we completely empty that well, we have nothing else to give. We have to go through that process of refilling and replenishing our energy, and that might mean doing a yin practice or doing a restorative practice regularly, taking time to do meditation, things that really help to bring your energy back. Kundalini practice is really great for me when I feel like I'm run down. Kundalini practice is something that gives me a tremendous amount of energy, and I feel like I can really give physical, mental, and emotional energy to the projects that I want to dedicate them to. So working on just awareness of where your energy is going to. Then, like I said earlier, the hatha practice that we're going to do is going to work on an inner awareness of our energy and being able to do movements that create an awareness of the root chakra and the crown chakra, so the two end caps to our physical energy channel. The pranayama that we're going to do is actually a mudra and a pranayama, a mudra and a breath put together, and I really like this. Prana mudra is breathing with the hands to mirror the action of the breath, and it reminds me of Tai Chi or Qigong, where you're creating a physical aspect to that movement. And in yoga we do pranayama, so prana being energy and moving energy with the breath as our pranayama practice, and then we add the mudra, which is the hand connection to that energy movement. So we'll do a lot of sweeping up and down kind of movements, a lot of opening and closing kind of movements to mirror the breath and the movement of the prana. The mantra that I connected with this practice is Waheguru, and it's one of my favorite mantras, but it's a very powerful mantra in terms of expressing gratitude, and it's really an expression of ecstasy toward our creator or our higher power, ecstasy for the deep experiences that we get to have being alive and being on this earth. So Waheguru is a really nice mantra to use when you're trying to emphasize this feeling of unity and connection with your higher power, something beyond yourself. The mudra that I picked for this practice is Hakini mudra, and that is a tenting of the fingers like this. And I think this is a really interesting mudra because it's not as complicated as some of the other mudras. You can get really technical with some of the finger positions, but this is a mudra that you'll see people do spontaneously, and it's a mudra that helps to focus the mind and focus your energy. So it's a great one to use when you're meditating or when you first start your practice. If you feel scattered, if you feel like you have that monkey mind where you're jumping from topic to topic, bring your fingers into this Hakini mudra, and you can direct it toward a specific area of the body, a specific chakra if you want to focus on that. For our practice, we'll be doing the 7th and the 1st chakra to focus on those spaces. But anytime that you feel like you need more focus and concentration, this is a great mudra to practice. So that was our overview of the 4th Yoga Yama, Brahmacharya. And I'm going to do the video next of the physical practice if you want to try to tie some of these concepts into your hatha practice. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.